guys, it's Chloe here and this is episode 3 of my air source heat pump video diary. So today's the day of the heat loss survey, which I've been really excited about, and we're going to identify what size heat pump will be required, what size cylinder will be required, will there be any replacement radiators, and where my system's going to be situated. Imagining it may be required to go on an external wall due to several factors, but I'm going to delve into that a little bit more today with our heat loss surveyor Craig when he attends the property, and I'm going to do a further follow-up video at the end of the day to relay all that information back to you. So this may be slightly longer than the beginning videos we had, but all really useful information, whether you've had a heat pump installed or whether you're looking to get one installed. So what a heat loss survey entails. Now, I've been in this industry for quite some time, to seeing this take place and really getting a feel for how the customer may feel when this is happening and where in the property would be required to go, what the heat loss survey entails. I did have a chat with Craig prior to my heat loss taking place today, and what he's informed me is they're going to attend the property now. They'll be measuring the square meterage of each room, the square meterage of each window, external walls as well. They'll be looking at where there is currently radiators situated in the property, size of the radiators situated in the property. So the way that the heat loss works is it takes all the information that I've just mentioned, and this will then be put into a heat loss calculator. So we work to the MCS standard, we use the MCS heat loss calculator, and that will enable us to identify this is the suitable heat pump size for my property, this is the suitable cylinder size. Definitely we can give you the advice as per the MCS standard, but as a customer, you make your individual choices. There may be people who have several showers a day, or have several baths a day, or who have several different family members that come over and stay with them frequently. So all of them are factors that, whether it be yourselves or whether it be another heat loss surveyor that attends the property, discuss your personal lifestyle and how you utilise the facilities within your home. Stressing off the importance of a heat loss survey. Me and my team spent so long researching these and looking into it. I'm really excited for this first-hand experience at getting to see how it looks within the property and what goes on, and making sure my team are working to that standard that I want you customers to experience. Making sure that I'm comfortable as the customer with the information that's being relayed to me. If I had no prior knowledge of air source heat pumps, would I understand this information? These are all key questions that ensure that we're giving you, the customer, the right information in the right way for you to make that informed decision. So once this is done today, I'm going to come back on. But what I really would suggest, just before I go, if you get the opportunity, take a look on our YouTube channel, which is Ape Renewables on YouTube. I can attach a couple of links. And take a look at the heat loss survey videos that we've previously done. It does give the insight that I've mentioned on the window measurements, the wall measurements, the room measurements. It shows how that's carried out within the property. It's a really, really informative video. I found useful. I know I already have prior knowledge, but I learned from that. So if you are interested in looking into renewables, or you already have them and you're wondering whether your heat loss survey was carried out in the right way, that is the benchmark. So go and take a look. Hi, so welcome back to part 2 of my air source heat pump video diary. I've got Craig here, the surveyor. You will have seen Craig on so many of our videos previous. So the reason I've asked Craig to come along is I did previously mention obviously what the survey entails, the heat loss survey entails, but I really wanted to go above and beyond that and discuss what we found at my house, the questions I posed to Craig as a customer, and how we overcome some of the obstacles I previously mentioned. So radiators, designer radiators. I obviously had concerns with regards to my conservatory, whether that would be a hindrance when it comes to an air source heat pump install. Now, we've discussed that in depth today, so I think if we start at the beginning, Craig, do you want to give a brief overview of what the heat loss survey today entails and what you've actually done at my property?
Yes, what we did at Chloe's property today, which we do at every one of our clients' properties, is a thorough and in-depth heat loss survey. So we need to measure the square meterage or footing of each room, the ceiling heights, window area, length of all external walls as well. That's carried out in every room in the property. Yeah. We also measure the radiators, the size of the radiators, and establish whether they're single or double panel convection radiators or not. A lot of the time singles do require replacement because of the lower ambient running temperature of a heat pump in comparison. We also site and situate the potential pump locations, which we've had an in-depth discussion with, because Chloe's is a bit not out there but not standard, and also the cylinder and the buffer tank that needs to go alongside of it as well. Surveys take generally about 2 hours to complete, depending upon the size of the property, so we make sure no stone's unturned and everything is carried out to MCS guidelines.
And I think that's so important as well, just touching on that, because one of the things that I know we've spoke about previous is we've seen so many heat pumps, or so many customers, should I say, that have said that the heat pump doesn't work the way they anticipated it to, or it doesn't seem to provide sufficient heating. And I did say this in the beginning of this video, but that's why I cannot stress enough, and I know Craig will agree with me on this, the importance of making sure them heat loss surveys are correct and thorough and carried out by a professional who knows what they're doing and ensures that this is going to be making sure your system's correct and sufficient for what you want. So we have that with Craig. We're very lucky, but it may not always be Craig. So Craig's done my heat loss today because he's local. We do have a dedicated team throughout the nation that will come out and carry out these heat loss surveys, all to that high standard. Going back to my particular individual property today, what we have identified is I'm going to be having a 180 litre cylinder and an 8 kilowatt mid-air heat pump. The sort of rule of thumb is the 50 litres per room. That's correct, isn't it, Craig?
Roughly,
yeah, roughly. So I've chosen to go on a bit of a bigger cylinder with the 180 litre rather than the recommended 150 litre. It's because not every customer is the same. I myself like to have long showers. I know my partner does the same, and so does my son. So to ensure that my heat pump and my cylinder is right for me as the customer, Craig explained to me that you can always go up. We'll give you the recommendation.
You don't want the last person in the shower ending up with a cold one.
Exactly, yeah. So we give the recommendation as a company, but we'll also, take into account the information you feed back to us. So any questions when you do go over your heat loss survey, don't be afraid to ask. We're here to help, we're here to answer them. So that's what we've got ahead with my system, the 8 kilowatt and the 180 litre cylinder. Touching back on the conservatory, one of the things we did find out was I would be getting the radiator added in.
I'd recommend it.
We'd recommend it, yeah.
Because it's not really classed as a living area, no one sits in there to watch TV or anything like that. But because when Chloe works from home, you work out at the conservatory.
In the conservatory, yeah.
In the winter, you'd be freezing.
And I think,
so it's an honest recommendation. And again, we tailor these to you and your lifestyle. So if you want to bring issues up like that, I've got a conservatory. It's rarely used, and you don't have to have a radiator in there. But
we'll give you that best recommendation. I think we can actually insert, I don't know where it will be on the screen, but there is a list of rooms that do require them heat sources. Conservatory isn't one of them. So if you look at this video and then you do have a heat loss survey and you want to ask any of the questions about a room that isn't in the graph that we're showing, don't hesitate. Even if you want to give us a call, we can answer them questions. So we're going ahead at my property with the radiator within the conservatory, and that will sort of get rid of that concern with regards to the winter. They're going to let in that cold air, so that's sort of ensuring that that's taken care of.
One thing that you will find in the graph that will pop up here is I've measured Chloe's landing. Now there's no actual room on your landing to install any kind of radiator that's going to provide heat for the measurements on the heat loss calculator. You've not got room for one doesn't mean that you can't have a heat pump.
And that's it. It's all about giving you the honest information. So that's what this is all about. It's about identifying these are the guidelines, this is what we would recommend, but every property is different. And that's something we always come back to, that as a customer and as a house and as a home, we're not one fits all. It's each individual thing will differ. So yeah, we're not going ahead with the one on the landing because there just isn't the space, and that doesn't mean that my property is not suitable for the heat pump. So if you ever do see anything on these graphs that you receive from either Craig or one of the other representatives here at Ape Renewables, and there is something that causes concern or a question you want to ask, give us a call.
Ask the question.
Yeah, ask the question. That's something we cannot stress enough. Ask the question.
That's what we're here for, to allay any concerns. We'll always give you an honest answer because we have to.
Yeah, in my opinion, as his boss, we'll have the answer.
And if I don't, I'll find it for you.
Yeah, exactly that. So ask the question. Now, going back to my property, the only radiator required for me was within the conservatory. That was one of the aspects we were looking at, and obviously the regards to the heat source within the conservatory, I've gone ahead and decided that I do want to get that radiator in there. But I did always anticipate that it would be fitted on an external wall, and I can sort of answer a couple of questions moving forward about how that's impacted, whether it's noise levels, or for aesthetic reasons I chose that I wanted it to go above ground level, so it will be situated on the second floor of the property. And I mean, when I say aesthetic reasons, obviously the brick level on my conservatory, had I have had it installed there, it would have been above the window level. And again, it's that customer's perspective, it's the customer's choice, and that was mine. I do think it's going to make a really interesting video coming up in the future to see how, if it affects the noise level within the property. Obviously it's quite near to the sleeping quarters, so I'm interested to see how that impacts on the noise level. And I also think it'd be interesting to see the aesthetic of it once the installation's complete. All of these are things that I'm going to discuss with you, truthfully, as a viewer and hopefully as a future customer. So, I mean, moving forward, Craig, if you want to go into a little bit about the sort of clearances that are required.
Depends on the size of the pump that you're looking at, but your pumps generally from the wall sit 300mm out from the wall. That's where the base or the back of the pump starts. Then you usually need 2 metres clearance in front of the fan from any solid structure. Every pump's different with regards to manufacturer's recommendations as to clearances on the side for maintenance purposes. But as it stands at the minute, there are rumblings that this ruling may be taken out next year, is you can't have the heat pump located within 1 metre of a neighbouring boundary, i.e. the fence that divides your property to your neighbours. But again, they are looking at reviewing that.
I think that does need to be reviewed because it sort of...
It excludes terrace
so
houses.
many people.
The amount of people out there that want them, want to be more energy efficient.
But aren't able to do so.
If you're a mid-terrace house, it's near impossible.
Yeah, they don't have the clearances, and I think that is something that will be looked into. I think that's going to be a change that's coming.
And another one, Wales need 3 metres.
It's so bizarre, isn't it? I mean,
trying to get everybody more energy efficient.
But then they put things anyway, and there's so many videos out there on these clearances and discussions, and I know there's several other people, podcasters, etc., that do go into depth about them that we watch ourselves. It's always good to get other industry experts' opinions and look at them and validate them against what we believe. So yeah, that's something to keep your eyes peeled for, and we can definitely discuss it again in a later video. But overall, just to go over my sort of heat loss survey today, we now have the location secured, which is going to be 2nd floor. We've also anticipated the 1 radiator, which is going to be fitted within the conservatory. And we also know I'm going to have a 180 litre world heat cylinder, and I'm going to be having the 8 kilowatt media heat pump. So the next time you see us will probably be the installation date. Well, it'll be seeing me. I actually won't need you on the next one, Craig. It'll be me going into this in a bit more detail and how we sort of prepared for the installation, how I prepared as a customer, the information I was given. I have asked that on this video we just sort of show you exactly what you get as a customer, so the information that's related to you as a customer from the heat loss calculator. So that should be up on screen. If you have any questions about any of that, this is for my individual property, drop them in the comments and one of the team will get back to you, or we can address it in the next video. So really hope you found the information useful. I want to thank Craig for joining me on this little video today. And as always, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and we will see you on the next episode.